And the
talk.
Titanic landed.
I agree with you.
We want to get right.
Welcome back to week 2 of the pod. Today we will be bringing you our best knowledge on sports topics circulating through the sports sphere. We got a loaded podcast today with Cheeks, you all know him, McCoy, and the newcomers Ben, Andrew, and DeWade. And of course I am here once again, Brady Dorn, Mr. Olaf, and Mr. Hoffmeister. All right, let's just get right into local sports this week because we skipped that week 1. Football ended like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Let's reflect on the season that we had. What did we go? 6-3.
7-4.
7-4.
7-4.
Well, 6-3, yeah.
6-3 in the regular season.
Yeah, but that's.
And then we won a playoff game, which is pretty
7 years.
historic for our program, I would say. First playoff win since 2010. But
It was lit.
it was lit.
How about we talk about how the season started and how we got to the playoffs?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay.
Let's tell our story. Let's get it.
All right, Hannah.
Starting out the
Take
season.
them on our journey.
Starting out the season, we went 2-0 in non-conference, beating Mishicot and Waupun. I mean, that was a great start to the season. I mean,
Right.
a lot better than last year. And then we get into conference play, and we ended up going 4-3 in conference, beating Chilton, Roncalli, Valders, and Brillion, and losing to Falls, Two Rivers, and Kiel.
We only lost to the good teams.
I got a
Which is-
feeling our biggest win there was easily Valders on
Oh, yeah.
homecoming.
Oh, that was a huge game.
Huge win.
Got jacked up. Homecoming.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then, of course, we clinched the playoff berth against Brillion.
7-0.
Yeah,
Defensive game.
with that amazing goal line stand by Mr. Neal.
Okay.
It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you could say.
Was
about
was that on 4th down, if I remember right?
It was on
Yeah,
fourth
it was
down.
on fourth down.
It was. They turned the ball over, and that gives
to
you
win the game.
And then,
Gave Neil the assist.
Yeah, that's true.
of course, we end up going to Kiwani. We are the number 5 seed. They're the number 4 seed. We were picked to not win, not even be close to winning.
Another doubter.
We ended
you
up
know.
winning that game 32-14, which was just huge for the football program and for the school.
The community.
It was really impressive, I think. I think that was probably the best game you guys played all season, from my vantage point at least. You guys could share a little bit different perspectives, obviously, but from my vantage point, I think that was the best you played all year. You did have a common opponent. Kiwani just destroyed Two Rivers earlier in the year, so
Yeah.
you turned it around. I think that was a mark of how far you grew as a team, too. So
I agree.
I think it was the best all-around game. Our defense played well, and then obviously our offense putting up 32 points was pretty big.
Yeah, especially after the 2 previous weeks, putting up 7 combined.
Yeah, we went 7-0 against Brilliant, and then got shut out against Kiel.
Huge.
And then we ended up
Huge.
heading to the number 1 seed, Cedar Grove, Belgium, in a game I thought was very winnable for us. I think
It's a tough
we
game
came
to
close.
take. It's
We
a
came
tough.
close.
People that were around the team and a part of it know that that was a tough game to take. Considering we know what was put in the season, and that coming into the fourth quarter with a lead, that as the team we were, we definitely should have came out of that game as a winner, upsetting the number 1 seed.
Yeah, and I think it just puts into perspective, too. I was talking with Augie the other day, just thinking about where Valder stood after the Cedar Grove Belgium game, where they had a couple injuries going in, that could have been a game we could have won the following week here at home, that we could be planning this week, a chance to go to state.
Should be planning.
I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow, like you said. For the people that were in the program, around it, know how close we were. Tough pill to swallow. But I was saying, with Casey in study hall a few weeks back, just about how resilient this team had been, and especially having a couple of seniors here today on the pod. Just to be able to look back at your career, high school football career, especially the last couple of years, where there had been some games where a couple of years ago, I think it was Two Rivers here, that was back and forth, high scoring, lose by 1.
You had President.
In Kiel. And we lose.
Yeah, last year was Kiel, and then you had Rapon last year with the crazy 2-point conversion. Like, you had those games where you were in it, but you just needed to get over the hump to be able to win those kind of games. And you took those experiences, and in every game this year, I felt we were in, that we had a chance to win. And that I would say maybe the Valders game might have been better because not only just it being homecoming, but going into halftime, we're going to be going up, maybe 3 scores possibly. You have the pick, tough throw to be able to get there. And then they score. They go march down the field before half, get a score, and then start the second half. They get a big play on a broken play for a touchdown, and you think kind of that moment of, oh no, here we go again. We had those kind of moments maybe the last couple of years, but it said a lot for the offense and all of you guys to come back that following drive and respond, get some time off the clock, get a touchdown, and be like, okay, we're not letting stuff like that happen again. We've experienced that the last couple of years. We're not going to do that again. So with that, and I would say a handful, at least of the two initial losses, we could probably have a matter of 10 plays. You get a couple of them to go right. We're either tied, at the end of the game, or winning. It said a lot about the team that we were in every single game this year, that we weren't peak and valley in terms of one week we were on and we were in it, and another week we just fell off the face of the earth. Like, you guys, every game all year, were in it in some way, shape, or form. And that was something that I felt was really going to pay off in the playoffs, and for what it's worth, it did. So it said a lot about that as a program of hey, New Holstein football, we're here to stay. We're going to compete, and we're not going to be inconsistent. We're going to set the tone, and you're going to know when we play us, kind of a thing. So just keep moving that going forward, I think, is going to be key. Just my thoughts.
Right.
Very well said, I would say.
Yeah,
I agree.
It was very well said.
Like Rupp said every week at practice, that our opponent really doubted us. Yeah, Coach Rupp, sorry. Head coach, Mr. Rupp. Even every week saying that the people across from us doubted us, and they didn't feel like we were good enough opponents to beat them. And most of the time we proved them wrong, but sometimes you just
Like,
Cookie crumbles.
to go off of that, I would say when we came into Sheboygan Falls, I don't think they expected us to be in that game.
no.
Because
That was a winnable game for us.
Yeah, when we were walking away from that game, you could tell that they were surprised that was another game that went right down to the wire.
That was probably one of their toughest conference games this year.
The Two Rivers game went right down to the wire too.
Yep.
Had a lead, few things happen.
Just a couple execution plays, like Olaf said, really turned the game around.
The only game that we really played bad in or didn't execute that well was against Kiel on senior night. But
Yeah,
I mean,
that was a
we were
weird
stagnant.
atmosphere.
We were pretty stagnant, I would say.
and against Brilliant,
Yeah, Brilliant. Well, yeah.
Defensively, we
played
played
pretty good.
Brilliant doesn't get much respect from their defense. Their defense is actually pretty strong. If you look at how their defense played all season.
And we kind of came in there doubting them.
Yeah.
Like we were like, oh, let's just get playoffs this week, like whatever. But we probably could have prepared more that week. for their defense, which really punched us in the mouth, holding us to 7 points all game.
Yeah, I would say, too, just with that was easily to that point worst game we played all year, but to be able to come away with a win, again, something to be able to build off of, and then showing that resiliency, after the Kiel game, where, again, this is a game where, it's kind of the thing that Coach Rupp would talk about, these are the kind of moments you'd remember, those kind of big rivalry games where it just fell flat, but then to come the following week with practice, and then the Kewanee game to play, like Poffy said here, the best game of the season says a lot in terms of resiliency, that you got punched in the mouth the week before, and how did you respond? Were you just going to say, okay, that was it, we made the playoffs, that was good enough? You guys clearly said no, came out and had a great week of practice and executed very well that Friday night and got moving on. So awesome things to be able to see.
Yeah, I'd say one of the best things about the team this year is that we never did get satisfied. After every game, we always wanted to get the next one. Like, obviously, we learned from it, but we were hungry for the next team. I would say that was actually, for a lot of us, like knowing that it could be our last game, the Cedar Grove Belgium game, we wanted to beat them bad. Just the way we prepared that week of practice, we came into that game, we knew we knew we had a chance to beat them. We knew that they were tough, but like we came into that week, we just said let's win, but coming up short was.
Right. Yeah, it was a good feeling to be up 6-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
That was definitely a big sign of success for us.
Even going into the fourth quarter, being up, what were we up? 18.
Wait, we were
14? Yeah, we were up 18 to 14.
Yeah, dude. We had a lead.
Just looking at the scoreboard saying, hey, we're going into the fourth quarter, we can really do this. But
chance to go to level 3.
But the execution just came down to execution.
Yeah. Even though it ended in heartbreak on our little Cinderella story there as a 5 seed, but just the season in general, because our program in the last 7 years had a lot of 1-win seasons, 2-win seasons, no-win seasons, and just being able to get 7 wins in a season and only 1 loss at home, like just prove that like our program is still here and this group of boys that we have is talented. And
I think that this experience this year is really going to help the juniors coming up for next season. The 2 playoff game experience, winning a playoff game, and then also being involved in a tough playoff game.
Right.
I think that's really going to help their leadership and understanding of the game.
Yeah, let's get into next year. We had 11 seniors graduate from the football team.
8 were starters.
You're right, 8 were starters. There's only 2 offensive linemen that are going to be returning next year, and like 1 starting defensive lineman returning.
Yeah, Mitchell Dietrich is going to be the only starting D lineman returning.
Rocket Man
for the Huskies.
Mr. Straight Legs.
That's right.
And on the O-line,
interception machine.
that's fair.
More picks in there.
The O-line, you have John Watson
than
and Sam Schaefer returning.
Yeah.
And then obviously, what does really help the Huskies is they have their starting quarterback and fullback returning.
The Hammer, Mr. Tyler McCoy.
They have a lot of experience at wing, too, with Juddy, Howe, Schrader.
Yep. Linebacking crew will still be.
I think that's going to be solid.
Returning all-conference linebacker, and there's linebacker that started there all season.
Right.
And then other linebackers that have played in varsity that have experience.
The biggest holes that are going to have to be filled is
It's going to be the line.
the receiving core,
Secondary.
the line, and middle linebacker position.
I think enough guys got some time this year, obviously, that they're going to have an opportunity to step up, and whether they do or not is the question mark. But they'll have that opportunity. I think the pieces are in place to keep this thing going at a higher level. I mean, now we've been to the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years.
Right.
So
Keep her moving.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, if we're talking about building a program, and the little things that you've gotten into in terms of being resilient and not settling and being, complacent, or just being, what I'm getting at is just settling for just, okay, cool, we made the playoffs, that's it. Now we have the experience to want to be able to make noise, but I think something that can't be understated is just those couple extra weeks of practice that we had here for the playoffs, especially for some of the underclassmen guys that are the sophomores, the few freshmen there, the Casper brothers, and a fair amount of sophomores that got some extra playing time at the varsity level, that the speed of the game, at least of what they're going to be potentially getting into, won't be a surprise. And so when you see teams like Kimberly, Amherst, year in and year out, that make the playoffs and make runs, look at how many weeks of practice that they get, especially for the younger guys, and how much that would add up for your career in high school, so that you are going to be contenders every single year. So stuff like that's going to help. It's the little things just in the off season too. The getting in the weight room, holding each other accountable on that front. The character issues of any kind, of just making sure that we're holding each other accountable there. Grades.
Team
Like
camp.
all of those, team camp, all those things, the opportunities that are going to be offered in the summer, taking advantage of those. So we can't be complacent now for the simple fact that, we have the pieces that are here coming back, good pieces coming back. We got to work just as hard as we got to at least this year during the off season and carrying that over. So we're ready to go, instead of just thinking what we have is good enough and just being complacent and then finding out that we're not where we need to be. So it's going to be those little things in the off season that'll help. But I would say, like I said, those last couple weeks of practice will go a long way on that front in terms of helping out those younger guys for getting into their roles. Because, there's a fair amount of spots that are going to need to be filled, and hopefully those couple weeks of varsity practice going in against you guys, seniors, that know the way around practice and the structure, especially for playoff time, how that'll help them out.
Right.
It's going to be a great competition, though, for
Mhm.
everyone coming up trying to get a spot.
Just like this year, next year's group isn't going to be the fastest or the most talented or the strongest team you guys will face, but if you continue to be the most cohesive unit,
Yeah, just stick together.
right, just stay a brotherhood like our team was this year, and I'll bring you places.
Yeah, I agree. I think our number one asset to our team this year is that we're so strong as one unit. Like last year's team, like I'm talking the year before, we probably had some of the best
skill players ever. We were a talented team.
Yeah, very talented.
Just looking at the roster, we were very talented.
But I'm going to be honest, we weren't a good team. We didn't gel very well. But this year we did. That was a big difference maker, I think.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about that a little bit? I think you guys got into that with the bonfire, the seniors talking about. Do you guys want to talk about that for the audience in terms of how you got to that point? Because I know you guys talked a little bit. I don't want to steal the thunder too much. And just how, even as a senior group, as a class, you guys were butting heads for a while. But what got you guys to turn the corner?
I'm going to say still, especially being more of an underclassman, my sophomore year, which is last year, I noticed more that last year compared to this year that just everyone got along more this year. Like the senior class were kind of their own last year. They were just like their own thing,
Right,
and they didn't really let anyone in. Whereas the senior class this year, you would see them being friends with even the freshmen and everything.
Right, I tried talking to freshmen, passing by me like, oh hey, what's up?
Which is why that
Whatever your name is.
it let everyone open up more. It let everyone let everyone be friends with everyone, and it just made the whole team a better place. Like nobody was left out or anything, and it's just that's why I feel we've competed so much better, because we always had each other's backs and everyone liked everyone.
Right, and even when somebody would fall short on their commitment to the team by being suspended for a couple games or not committing to your academics as much as your athletics, we gave them a little bit of crap for it, because we're brothers, but we didn't give up on them. We still wanted them around. We still wanted to include them in our group.
Yeah, we turned it into more of a fun thing rather than a put down.
Right. I feel like if last year one of the juniors or seniors would have got suspended for 2 games, they would have been.
Yeah, the seniors would shut them out automatically.
They just wouldn't talk to them at all. But we still tried to bring them together and tried to.
High character.
Right, high character.
I would say one of the biggest things this year was from the top down, even from the top player, people who produce at a high level for the team, and then other players. The competition was always high, and we always accepted hey, scout team, starters would come back one way, and then it'd be pushing either way or the other. Scout team would push the starters, flip it around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then,
friendly competition every practice.
Yeah.
Right. It was great how we were able to separate our lives at school and in the locker room away from us on the practice field. Because I know, Dorn, you talked a lot of smack to everyone, and a lot of other people were talking smack, like Hoist to Teddy and all that, back and forth. But just to be able to go back into the locker room and still be great friends was probably the thing that set us apart. Like, not still butting heads off the field.
This year we had fun.
Right.
We had
Yeah.
fun playing
Like,
football this year.
Practice was fun.
Like, I couldn't wait to go to practice. Like, I'd be like, obviously, yeah, we do our schoolwork, but then we're like, let's go to practice.
Right.
Like, I couldn't wait to go out there and put the
Yeah.
pads on. I'd never had that feeling.
Pre-game jam sessions.
Oh, like,
You guys got to find some better music, though, Mike.
No.
That's terrible.
No.
hey, that's what brought the team together.
Yeah, Hannah Montana.
Whatever works.
Dancing sessions.
Whatever works, I guess.
But I would just say that's something that you guys had to work through as seniors, at least
Right.
during the off season. So, what was there? Did you guys talk things out? Like, you have a meeting, or was it just a kind of conscious effort that you guys were just on the
Well-
same page that okay, we're gonna have a better environment culture as senior leaders? Like, what did you guys do to turn the corner from what you guys felt at least last year as juniors? What you saw?
Well, just like at team camp and during practice and in the locker room, like last year's camp.
I'm a senior.
I'm a senior. Just like how last year's seniors would just kind of like shut people out. Like they wouldn't be with us all the time. They'd kind of be in like their own groups.
Well,
And we were just kind of trying to be our own team together.
Yeah.
This year, like, we held a meeting, like right away in May, like, right when you start getting all your, like, obviously, we've been lifting and everything already, but we held a meeting right away. Like, the seniors, we said, we're obviously holding everyone accountable, but we had a different message last year. It was like, everyone's being held accountable for the team image. This year was because we need every single one of you.
Right.
From freshmen up to seniors, we're holding you accountable to make this team the best that it can be, because you're going to get playing time, and we're going to need you to step up when you're needed.
Yeah, and I also feel like last year, them kind of like not gelling with the seniors, not gelling with the juniors and sophomores, kind of made the juniors and sophomores more together, so it made this year a little
Right.
easier. It kind of hurt last year, but helped this year, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's an important thing to be understanding. I think, even juniors going into your senior year, that added responsibility of you're being looked up to by the underclassmen. You don't really maybe understand that kind of impact that you have, but it's something that you have to be able to take on. So, again, just every little detail in terms of who you are as a person and then what you do on the football field matters. So I think that's something that, we need to save this episode and this part of it just for, a reminder for the juniors to be able to have when we get to May of, okay, this is what we need to be doing. So, when we go to summer break here in a few weeks, we can keep what we've been doing on the football field. And then when we come to team camp, we're ready to go. We're a united front.
Right. And as seniors, you have to be the leaders of the entire program, not just like your group of friends. You have to be able to, from even like the middle schoolers coming by, you got to be able to say hi and welcome to the program.
I would say start getting your message across as soon as you can, and like go to the 7-on-7s and everything that get all the team, like I know we want to do team bonding this year, do it more next year, get all that, because it's going to go by fast.
It'll help
Your
out a
senior
lot.
year, you like start getting it going, because next thing you know, it'll be middle of the season, you're going to be wondering where all the time's going.
Right.
Just cherish it, play football, and step up like we've been saying.
All right, anything else to add? I was thinking that was grade A content right there.
Yeah,
I would say probably something like that.
All right.
Are we on to volleyball?
No. Yeah, volleyball.
On to volleyball.
We are on to volleyball.
All right, I'm just gonna
Yeah, you got
go
it.
over
You
this
got
quick.
it.
All right, get her going.
So the girls volleyball team, they had an overall of 14-10. In conference play, they beat Kiel, Roncalli, Brilliant, Valdez, Sheboygan Falls, but lost to Chilton, finishing 5-1 in conference, 8-8 in non-conference, and 1-1 in playoffs, beating Kiwanee in the first round and taking a tough loss to Brilliant.
In five matches.
Yeah, 2-3. And then the team, a great season for the girls. They also finished second in conference behind Chilton. So,
Yeah, I know it hurts for the program, the volleyball program, to take that devastating loss in round 2, just like the football team did, but just looking at their roster in general, they're only losing 3 seniors.
They're losing 3 seniors, but it was 3. They're
Three vital.
Yeah, they're a very big part of the team.
They were big parts of the team, but it always helps to have a big group of upcoming players that have the experience.
And then they'll have next year. They'll have
They're going to have
a multitude
they'll
of
have a strong
four-year
They'll have a strong senior class.
4-year starters coming back next year.
I would say the volleyball season is gonna be strong next year, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they're going to make some noise.
I think they're going to be one of the top fall sports next year.
I definitely say that they have a high chance of winning conference next year.
Yeah.
They just got to get over that little hump that they've
Called
been at.
Chilton.
Because Chilton's gonna be graduating some good players again, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Check me on
volleyball's
that
in
if
the
you want
culture
to.
there, though. It's something. I believe you. I think we're right. I think we're going to be right in the mix again. But schools have like a unique culture in one area.
Like Kimberly football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, ours is golf.
Soon to be. And
Probably.
Yeah, baseball.
yeah, but Chilton has volleyball recently, at least, and they've been really solid the last few years. But also our girls too would go to a lot of those weekend tournaments that are their non-conference tournaments, and I don't know off the top of my head like if they won any, but I know they placed well in quite a few, and they played a lot of bigger schools like
Yep.
Division I school.
Mhm.
That's big for them. Like, their record doesn't really show how
played some tough
good
competition.
they really were this year.
Yeah,
Right.
It's something, again, I feel at least, I said this last year anyway, just in general for what we have for our sports. We have I said that last year, that feeling, at least with who is coming back, you guys as seniors, that there's a window, and that can be something that can carry on into next year. There's a good window for all of the sports that we have to make some noise. So the same thing for the volleyball. And it's something that I can at least compare to college volleyball, going to more of the Badger matches for that too, that the Big Ten Conference is solid. So the Badger record right now, it looks average, pedestrian, but it's the best conference in the entire country. So they're playing some of the best competition that anybody's going to see, and they're getting tested, and they're a younger team, and they'll be able to build off of that for this year and next year. Same kind of thing for our girls too here, that it's a very solid conference. The competition that they go up against is something that a lot of teams across the state might not see, and it'll make them better off in the end, and hopefully that carries over for next year.
All right.
On to soccer, would you say?
Yeah.
All right.
On the soccer.
So the soccer team this year, if you would just look on the book, they were the best fall sports team. They won 11-10-1 overall, 7-4 in conference, being conference champions, 3-5 in non-conference, and 1-1 in playoffs. Winning the conference champion is what puts them up there. They
Right.
also made it to the second round of the playoffs, but they ended up losing to Xavier there. They lost 9 seniors to graduation, all of them huge part in the team. And
That's tough
talking with
overall.
some of the soccer players, they feel they're going to have a tough time filling some of those spots.
They lost some good players.
It's going to be a little bit of a rebuilding stage next year, hopefully. They're hoping they can do good with the players that they're going to have, but they know it's going to take some time to get back to where they were this year.
Yeah, and I know at the end of the season, there's a lot of grumbling from the soccer team about their coach playing underclassmen over seniors. I heard a lot, but they're just
If you can play, you're playing.
right. If you can play, you're playing, and they're just trying to build a program for next year because
Yeah.
you are losing
When
so
you're
many
losing that many
seniors.
seniors, you have to play.
You have to play.
Your underclassmen.
I mean, it hurts to be a senior and to be benched for an underclassman, but it's better for the program.
If you're an underclassman and you can play, you're gonna play.
Yeah, you have to expect to play.
Like, especially with the numbers we have, like, the underclassmen need to play.
Right.
Small
Well,
farming
yeah, let's just
community
look
like
at,
this.
soccer's going to have a pretty good year next year, probably.
Hopefully.
I'd say New Holstein fall sports are gonna be a good, it's gonna be a good season to
Dominant.
watch. And,
Bold.
I'm predicting conference champions in every single sport in the fall.
that's gonna
How
be,
about- how about state bound for every sport?
material.
that's a bold prediction.
State bound for
Yeah,
every
that's bold.
every-
Yeah,
every
that's
sport.
bold.
Well,
But, I would say,
Yeah,
is that a wrap?
yeah, let's
on the
move
fall
on.
season?
All right, we're moving
Winter
on
sports.
to
Winter sports it is.
so,
Let's start with the big GB.
yeah, girls basketball.
Let's hear about it.
There's quite the large elephant in the room while talking about girls
you want me to go
basketball,
over that?
and that being it's not really funny. The team is trying to look past a 2-season losing streak, going 0-48.
Yeah.
0-46 the last two
Right,
seasons.
but
Right.
counting the last two games of our sophomore year.
The losing streak is currently at 48 games.
Well, this year's group has been putting a lot of work.
Potential.
They have a lot of potential.
Last year, the
bringing-
team
yeah.
only
The
lost
streak-
one player to
Yeah,
graduate.
right. They've
The
had a lot
streak-
of underclassmen getting work in.
It's
gonna break out this year.
The so-called losing streak is definitely
Gone.
gonna end this year.
Done with. We're out of here
It's
with
probably
it.
gonna end the first game.
This team's gonna surprise a lot of teams in this conference.
Yeah, we're done with it. We're
They
not.
have a lot of
29-0.
experience.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of experience and a lot of chemistry is coming onto this team this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like we talked about with football, like those girls, I feel, really trust one another with this team, and they really want to, because they've been berated by this streak thing for the past 2 years,
Right.
and they just want to get that off their back and just move on and try to win some games and try to make some noise in the conference and in the division.
They're definitely going to be competitive this
Yeah,
year.
I feel like a big key for this year is rebounding because they're still not gonna have any height advantage in anyone,
Exactly.
and that's usually what kills them in games is rebounding.
Hoff, you used to coach
Sure did.
this team. How do you feel about their outlook this season?
Like you said, there's a lot of players who have had some varsity experience playing on the team. I think they're going to need to develop that cohesive nature of that a successful team does. I don't know. I'm not on the. I'm not at their practices or their activities or whatever they're doing. Now, granted, their practices started this week, so. But I think it's on the way up. I could tell that we had a couple of really lean years in there. My last couple of years coaching, I was the JV coach, but you can tell in going to see some of the younger groups, you know when you have some talent coming up. And there's a good bit of talent in this freshman class, too, as well as the juniors. Juniors and there's some good athletes at the senior class as well. I think there's 2-3 seniors this year, but so they're still really young. So as far as
Right.
competing in the conference, I don't know if they're ready to do that yet, but
Next year.
I think they're going to make some noise. They're going to win some games this year. But, you know, for them, I think of a player like Mackenzie Doherty, who's been on varsity her whole high school career and has been through all of this. I feel bad for somebody like that who puts in a lot of work. And Carly Schmidt saw a lot of time as well as a freshman, who's been through all of that. And I think it's going to turn this year.
I'm saying
Olaf, what do you have to say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it gets just back at least to what I talked about with football. With you guys being in games the last couple of years, I'm talking specifically the seniors, you know, of tough games that you lost. And being able this year to be able to put games together of when you were, you know, put in a spot where you're getting either, you know, had a turnover, critical turnover, how do we respond? Responded well. I think we could see it be the same thing for the girls this year, where there were games last year where they had chances to win, right? There's at least a handful. So, look at those games, the film from those games and say, okay, what do we do to get us in position to win? Hello. But what do we need to do to get over the hump to be able to win those games this year, to turn the corner, make the turn? So I agree with what everyone said here. The streak ends this year, and we're going to surprise a fair amount of teams in the conference.
I would say a player to watch, and this is her third year, and end of her freshman year, she tore her ACL in practice. And she made a lot of really good gains and stuck with her rehab pretty intensely, is Marley Halbach. She had a really nice year last year, but you could tell at times, and I know coming off a knee surgery, you're going to be unsure when you first get on a hardwood and start moving and making the shifts and things you have to do with basketball. But she had a nice year, and watching her shot the last couple of days, she looks good to go. I think she's going to be, if she can add she's a player to watch, I think, among the rest of the talent on that team.
I would say that I know within this room at least that something that's going to help them is they have some support this year, because based off predictions, we all believe that they're going to win some games this year and end the streak. So I know that they have some support and belief from some students and staff at least.
Definitely.
First game of the year against Elkhart Lake.
Yep.
They're going to win it.
Let's go.
Yeah, do it. Get her done. We're done with the streak.
Yep.
Get her out of here.
Are you guys heading over to Elkhart after practice?
Oh, yeah, we're heading over to Elkhart.
Well, let's move on to
The big BB.
right, men's basketball.
Boys basketball.
No, we're men.
Yeah,
Now that we're done.
young adult basketball, young male adult basketball. There's going to be a lot of seniors coming back this year, and I feel like it's the same class of seniors as the football team, and mostly, in addition of Austin Traggy and the subtraction of like 7 kids.
Don't forget Ryan Steffes.
Yeah, Ryan Steffes.
Yeah, you can dunk.
Yeah, Ryan's basically better than Michael Jordan.
But not LeVar Ball yet, though.
No, he's not better.
And Lonzo.
Yeah.
But last year they went 20-5, winning the EWC. And this year I feel like they'll be building off that season and just bringing this program to new heights. How do you feel about our outlook, Dorn?
Well, so far I can say, because I'm part of the team, I've been attending a lot of the summer events that we've been in, and some of the players that have been in our fall league team and scrimmage we had this weekend, that we have a good group of players that are returning to the team, and some younger players that are going to be stepping up this year. And I think that we can definitely build off of the season we had last year.
Right, somewhat. Nobody speak at once. This year is going to be interesting to see who really wants to lead this team and who really wants to push it, because somebody needs to step up and be the man, you know? And I feel like there's a lot of candidates for that.
Yeah, with this team, like, I get we're losing Nolan. Was he conference player of the year last year?
Yes, he was.
Well, this year we got Ryan, Austin, Carson. You can throw all three of them in for chance at win player of the year this year in our conference. Tuma's there. Sadazmo.
Right, but none of
Schneider,
them
yeah,
Mitch Schneider.
But you know, they got good shots to win. I've been going to some open gyms.
Right, I attended a few as well.
Ryan is looking solid.
Ryan has improved his game a lot every year.
He's knocked down.
Yeah, he's on
him
that
and
grind.
Lonzo.
He's on that grind.
And Lonzo.
Yeah, that's fair.
One of the great things about Ryan, though, is he likes playing both sides of the ball.
Right.
He likes playing defense just as much as he does offense. And having a two-way player like that on your team, just like something you said about the leadership, we're going to have two kinds of leadership this year. There's going to be Like, I know Ryan will lead the team with his words, but he's not as vocal as some other seniors we have. He's definitely going to be a player that lets his play speak for the leadership.
Mhm.
He's going to step up big in games this year. And then there's going to be others that obviously will back it up on the court, but they're also going to be vocal during practice. And I think that's going to be big.
The key player, I feel, is going to be Brad Schrader, because
Great defender.
his defense is really good. Like, I remember that play last year.
That's
wasn't
Isaac
it?
Byrne.
It was,
Oh, yeah.
Talks it all while we're talking about basketball.
It was at Kiel, and he picked Trent Nichols' pocket. That was the greatest defensive play I've ever seen. Besides Giannis Antetokounmpo, but I think he's gonna have to shoot more this year, though.
Yeah, he's definitely, he is a scoring option that we have. I don't think a lot of, since he's been known in the conference as more of a defender, teams aren't going to know that he actually has the ability to score from the outside and from the inside.
If he can become an offensive threat, I think we're going to do a lot of really good things. And not that he wasn't last year. I think he almost hesitated sometimes to shoot.
Yep.
But I think he's going to have to do more of that. But I'm looking forward to a really great year, too. And some of our younger talent that you guys talked in the previous sports about adding, keep how important it is to work in some of the younger talent. I think we have a really good group coming up, too. It's a great culture, I think, led by a lot of the same things that you guys talked about with the football team. Obviously, we have some big pieces to replace, especially on the offensive end. But I think collectively, I'm looking forward to a pretty good year, too.
Yeah, I think that the key to this. Oh, is that you?
No, I mean, you go ahead. You were full head of steam.
Yeah, Olaf, give it to us.
Yeah, Olaf.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the whole thing for me is just, it might take a little time to gel. It might not be perfect, but as long as you're getting the wins, it gets into the thing I say a lot. I'm not concerned about how a basketball team is doing in early November or middle November. If you're winning, great, and if there's some things you need to work on, also, that's a good thing to be able to have that to, get some good competition and practice. But, if you're a team that hasn't figured things out of whose role is going to be what by the time we get into February, then there's going to be a concern. So for me, I feel there might be maybe a little bit of growing pains with losing some of the offensive talent that we had, but I think there's that foundation that'll be there that we can win and do, well. It's just getting those pieces that when it comes time to be February and worrying about where we stand in conference and making a playoff run, that we're good and ready to go by then, that we've been tested enough, that we've done the work, that, we're a good cohesive unit and we know we know our role, kind of a thing.
Right, because there's our conference, we're going to have some pretty tough in-conference games to have us pretty battle-tested, I would say, before playoff season, because I know Ron Colley is going to be good. Valders is always good. Sheboygan Falls has always got some players. And then, there's always other teams that step up. But Dane, just stepping in as like a first-year player and student at New Holstein, what do you think about the basketball outlook and season?
Varsity looks pretty good. Like you said, Ryan, he's looking amazing, especially in open gyms. And you got Austin, he's looking pretty good. I think it's going to be a good year.
I have breaking news.
Cheeks.
Wait,
Not now.
You've had that breaking news for like 45 minutes.
I'd like to
Stay in your lane.
I'd like to go over to what Hoffy just added over here on the coaching changes this year. If you'd like to,
All right,
if
let's
you'd
go.
like to speak on that,
Give it to
Hoffy.
us.
Coach Hurth remains as the varsity coach. He's coming back for, I think, 4th year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Athletic director.
And he's athletic director as well.
Mr. AD Coach Earth.
I will be taking over as JV coach this year, JV1. Very excited about it. I learned a ton from all the coaches I've worked with. I loved working with, I learned a lot from Coach Burring last year, and I think he added a good deal of toughness to us. And I look forward to continuing conversations with him about the team and about resources. So joining us as a freshman coach, or JV2 coach, is Mr. Mike Hookrind. You may have seen him around school as a sub.
Smaller clap.
And Coach Meyer will be assisting with the varsity again as well this year. So, solid 4.
Fab 4.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. It's a good challenge. I'm excited. Monday.
State.
Good luck, Coach. I hope
Thank you.
this whole basketball thing goes well for our school.
State.
All right, so should
Let's move into
Breaking news.
no
Breaking news.
Cheeks, we already have those.
We have dibs.
We
called dibs on the breaking news.
we are moving on to the NFL, and
we're skipping.
Jumping?
this is about 30 minutes ago. The Packers have cut tight end Martellus Bennett due to failure to disclose physical condition designation.
Due to what?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
A physical condition.
Well, he didn't.
That he would not release to
He
the
didn't
team.
disclose his physical condition to the team.
Since Cheeks is the last one of the party on this one.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say,
No, seriously.
you know, I had that feeling last week that was what the Packers were going to do. Writing was on the wall after that with him being listed as doubtful with a shoulder injury. It seemed fishy and out of nowhere, like an RKO. But, you know, you could read the tea leaves, and it might be something we have a lot of conversations about now as Packer fans, in terms of where the team is right now, of saying maybe we should have kept Jared Cook and found a way to do that. But some of the things that Martellus was saying just even during training camp in terms of kind of feeling content where he was at, that this was another nice opportunity to work with somebody like Aaron Rodgers, but kind of the feeling that I don't know if he was going to have the same drive. I mean, he proved to be, at least with the regular season, a great blocking tight end for the run game and helped Aaron Jones to be able to develop a few weeks back. But just the drops were more than he had in his previous years. And I know fans were frustrated with just him not being able to make any kind of production in the passing game. But again, if you saw the game Monday night, they talked a fair amount of just about the offensive line situation, how often that switched, that was the first game since maybe week 1 that we had our normal starting O-line.
Injuries.
Otherwise, we had like 6 or 7 different rotations. Marty B had to play more of a role, at least, of being on the line. He wasn't going to be that pass threat guy that maybe people were expecting because of that situation, so that didn't help. But for me, when I saw that last week with him being listed as doubtful, and that was out of nowhere, I kind of felt something like this was going to happen, that they were going to let him go. And especially with the Instagram, I don't know if I'm just jumping the gun with that, but the Instagram post thing too, like you add that, then this injury report thing, I saw this coming.
Yeah.
So do you think he's going to be done then
Yeah, he's probably going to
for the
retire.
career?
I think so.
Hanging him
I
up?
would probably say.
He might sign with the Eagles or something. That'd be pretty cool. but-
Like that ring, him and Wade.
I think it's more, you know, with his brother Michael Bennett, the whole thing with out in Las Vegas kind of had an impact. That story came out a few weeks ago, had an impact on Marty as well. And to me, I don't think this is over yet. There might be some legal issues in terms of the whole contract and what the Packers did with this, that I don't know if it'll just be done and out of the way. I think that might be the next thing, which I've seen enough, at least from the Packer beat writers here in the last little bit of, okay, you know, we don't sign many free agents to begin with, but how does this move impact us in terms of getting any free agents moving forward under Ted Thompson?
Right.
So, all things to think about, but yeah, I saw this coming.
Maybe we can figure out a way to cut Ted Thompson too.
Fair.
This
Get him
is
out of there.
yeah.
Hey, I think the Ted we trust voting
I
is still
think-
being
I
involved
think-
out there.
Instead of cutting Ted Thompson, we should cut our entire
Coaching
training staff
Coaching staff.
because it
Dom
seems
Capers,
like not a single Packer can stay healthy
That
for
is true.
an
There's a
extended
lot
period of
injuries.
time.
A lot of injuries.
The O-line has been riddled with injuries.
Secondary
the
has been
defense,
destroyed.
the secondary especially has been destroyed, as Dorn said.
Yeah, 0 punts for the Lions last game.
Of course,
Right, they just couldn't get
Of
stopped.
course, the bad man himself, Aaron Rodgers, went down this year, and it's really just been a disappointment all around. Like, there's nothing you can do about injuries. Like, if there's a year where you have all these pieces on your team and they just underperform, then you can go in and just clean shop and just like.
Because in the NFL, there is a
Start
huge
rebuilding.
difference between your starters. There's a reason why in the NFL when you start, and then you got a bunch of your main guys injured, you have people that step up. Like
Right.
I know Brett Hundley. He's a good quarterback. Obviously, he made it to the NFL, but
Right.
Aaron Rodgers and it's just a big drop off either way you look at it.
Right.
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 Is this
Right.
the year the Packers tank?
No.
Cheeks, why do you talk sometimes?
Well, think about it though. If Rodgers in his prime, they can get.
Rodgers in his prime.
I saw an article talking about that yesterday.
You have Rodgers in his prime?
And he is.
Yeah.
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 Late
Yeah.
prime.
I think, but like for
Definitely.
for me, if we're looking for talent on defense, I'll make a couple points. I've been somewhat of a Dom Capers apologist, a little bit more because of the injuries, but this year I know we're also still having injuries, but I think that ship with him has sailed, that this is his last year. I don't know who is out there in the free agency in terms of defensive coordinators, if it's somebody within, but I think the writing's on the wall, especially, oh yeah, that's fair. That, especially with this Lions game where he had 2 weeks to prepare, and then that's what you come up with, where, again, the Lions, as, Ben mentioned, didn't have to punt. So when you have a 2 weeks to game plan and that's what happens, I think he's done. If that's a shoe that drops at the end of the year, we get to that kind of Black Monday. They talk about that the last week of the regular season, after the last regular season game, that following Monday. I think he's gone. The weight training staff, that always seems to be the thing that's brought up, but I don't think that's really an issue.
Right.
It just, injuries are the nature of the game. We just have bad luck. So
as we talked with our football team, how we're really a brotherhood. Like I feel especially if there was like a Keel player pushing around Teddy near the end of the game, I could see many of our players coming up from behind and
I would have been
hitting
I would have been there.
said
guaranteed.
Keel and or Chilton player very viciously.
Maybe
for
not
touching
in
Teddy.
such of the form that Mike
Southern
Evans
Door.
did, as you're
Right.
alluding to, but
So-
I would have been there.
Is that a transition?
Especially
That is a
if it's your
transition.
quarterback,
Nice.
you always protect your quarterback.
Right.
So-
So do you think that the NFL was right by suspending Evans the
No.
one game?
Yes.
Nope.
No.
Yes.
Nope.
maybe.
Okay,
Protect your
Cheeks and
quarterback.
Dorn. Cheeks and Dorn. Debate.
Yes, it's on.
Okay, Cheeks, what's
First
your
of all,
point?
why was Winston touching the back of that man's
He was
helmet?
talking
Like,
smack.
he was already hurt. Like, first of all, and Evans literally came out of nowhere, like an
He's
RKO.
protecting his quarterback.
Okay, the
Cheeks
retaliation
makes no
for lightly shoving Winston was probably a little much, but
That's true.
you got to protect your quarterback.
Yep.
Especially in the NFL, it's like that's just how it is over there.
Right.
You've seen much worse things come from your quarterback getting involved in something.
Right. Maybe if a Packer could protect their quarterback, A-Rod would still be playing. But
I can see that Goodell probably wants to draw a line. No, where does it stop?
right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because if you I understand all the protect my quarterback type stuff, but how far does it go? And
About
where
that
does
far.
where does he want it to stop? I guess is probably where he's going for with this.
Probably, you're right there.
Yeah.
At least he responded right away to something,
True.
instead of taking time to, think about it with some of the other issues the NFL has dealt with over the last 3 or 4 years, both on the field and off. So it was nice for them to be able to...
Jade Peterson.
Yeah, Ray Rice,
I love
that
that
whole
Peterson.
thing.
That was low.
Jason.
Where, again, that they responded swiftly on this, that, again, as Hoffy mentioned,
Sandusky.
draw a line in the sand, and we might have seen that on Monday night already with the whole Mike Daniels roughing, whatever penalty that was called to him in the Lions' first drive. They gave him the first down, and they scored on. That was maybe kind of a reaction from Sunday, like, we're not going to let anything remotely get close to being starting where you can any kind of a back and forth, that we're going to throw the flag right there, and that's the end of it. So we might have been
the recipients of that kind of response from the NFL of that line in the sand the following day.
Right. Well, yeah.
Should we
let's
give
move
her another
on.
transition?
Yeah, let's move on to NBA, where
The National
like
Basketball
about
Association.
the National
of the
Basketball
United
Association.
States
Okay, so
of the world.
So about 2 weeks ago, I would say, don't really know the timetable on that, but Eric Bledsoe, point guard of the Phoenix Suns,
Phoenix Suns.
tweeted, I'm getting there. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but you can't say that.
Okay.
That's not politically correct.
Okay, he tweeted, I don't want to be here. And of course, the Twitter sphere went bananas for that. And there was a lot of speculation on where he should go. And eventually, the Bucks pulled the trigger on the deal, sending Greg Monroe and a pick or maybe more picks.
Most likely one.
Most likely maybe more. To the Suns for point guard Eric Bledsoe.
And
How do you
Booker.
feel about the Bucks already having their star, their superstar, their MVP, Giannis, and giving him another all-star caliber player to be his Pippen? How do you feel about that move, you guys?
Legendary.
I would say it's a great ad because, I was reading this how on ESPN, Suns management told Bledsoe that the team was underperforming. Well, he was the starting point guard. Well, it's hard to believe because he had career highs while he was a starting point guard for them. He averaged 21 points a game, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists a game. So I would say he definitely wasn't a main part of their struggle as a team.
Right.
I'd say the Bucks definitely won that trade.
Well, the thing I see about this trade that's going to affect them is Monroe, because they are literally last in the league in rebounding. And now you lose Monroe.
No.
No. What?
No.
Do we go
No.
trade for a center now or what?
No.
Hey,
Why would you do that?
Hey, did you
Why would I
look?
say no?
Did you look on the face of Thonmaker in the closing seconds of the Cavaliers game last night?
Thonmaker is a man.
He just looked livid. He looked so pumped up to play the Spurs tomorrow. Like I think this year he's going to take a lot of steps to become
Thonmaker is
one of like
he's gonna be an all-star this
a
year.
top 10 center in the league right now.
He's going to be the
MVP?
oldest all-star ever in his 3rd season.
Will Tom be an MVP?
Did we just really compare Bledsoe to Scottie Pippen? No.
I did.
Yeah, that's
No, we compared Scottie Pippen to Eric Bledsoe.
I compared Giannis to Jordan, and if Giannis is Jordan, which he's not, he's way better than Jordan.
yeah, far better.
Then Bledsoe would be his Pippen,
Right.
That's fair.
even though Parker's more of a Pippen-like
Hey,
looking guy.
Yeah, speaking of that, what do the Bucks do with Parker now, with Bledsoe?
Playing at power forward.
Why is that even a question?
Yeah.
Like, why?
You literally
what's
just
your
asked about
question there?
rebounding.
you just
asked about rebounding.
Okay, who's on the starting lineup then when
Okay,
Parker
once
gets
Parker's
back?
He comes off the bench.
Okay, Bledsoe,
Brogdon.
Middleton. What are you crazy?
Well, I said
Giannis, Parker, Thonmaker.
I guess.
Or small ball. Yeah, you could put Bledsoe,
Yep.
Middleton.
Tony Snell.
Brogdon.
Wait, no, okay.
No, Brogdon.
Okay.
Brogdon,
Okay.
Middleton.
Yeah,
Okay.
Brogdon, Middleton.
No. Okay. No.
Giannis.
Bledsoe,
No, you gotta keep
Thon and
Thon. You
Giannis.
gotta keep
Thon,
Thon.
Giannis.
So
Bledsoe, Brogdon,
Brogdon.
Snell,
No, you start with
Middleton,
You have to start.
and then Giannis at center.
No, because you got to keep Thon. He's going to be an MVP.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Thon at point guard.
Thon's featured.
Thon at point guard.
No. Giannis at point guard, Thon at shooting guard.
Middleton at center.
No, Bledsoe at center.
Bledsoe at center. The 6'1" Bledsoe.
And then Middleton at power forward.
Kobe Bryant, 6-man.
What are you saying?
Tony Snell, 6-man.
Sterling Brown, starting point guard. We're gonna start him over.
Rashad
Bledsoe.
Vaughn.
Rashad
going to be
Vaughn.
the starting center in 3 weeks.
Right,
All
exactly.
right. Well, moving on from that, complete nonsense, actually.
Yeah, that went off the rails quickly. That escalated quickly.
It's kind of like the Dolphins season. After
Well, let's move back to Jay Ajayi. The Eagles are killing it right now.
Yeah.
And Jay Ajayi scored. And hometown boy
Corey Clement.
Corey Clement had a hat trick with 3 touchdowns.
Average.
He's good fantasy points.
Mediocre.
Mediocre.
Yep.
All right, MVP Corey Clement. And
What?
That's all.
No, rookie of the year.
No, MVP.
Well, let's get her done.
Yeah, that's all we got in the sports world today. Oh, we missed MLB.
Yes.
Roy
The
Halladay.
doc.
Oh, we should at least give a
Yes.
A tribute to the doc.
Roy Holiday.
Too far.
A very tragic loss in
Threw
the.
a no-hitter in the
Moment of
playoffs.
silence.
At least
Yeah, it's true.
tribute to him.
True statement.
Very sad to hear, and prayers to his family.
Right. Yeah. That's just a tragic loss for the baseball community. Like, he was a good guy.
He was most likely going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Now he's not going to the Hall of Fame?
I know. Don't scream.
Yeah.
Come on, Cheeks.
What are you saying, Cheeks?
Don't get fired. Don't get fired.
Totally just ruined the tribute.
Yeah.
I would just like everyone to know that this is also Cheeks' last pod.
Yeah, definitely the last time. being
He's
on the
fired.
Oh yeah, and in NCAA men's basketball news, LiAngelo Ball, the middle ball,
Arrested.
is imprisoned.
No,
he's
got out on
He's
bail.
confined
He's
to
out on
He's
bail.
out on bail, but he's
He's out on
confined. He's on hotel arrest right now.
Fair.
Can't play Friday.
I mean, he's probably gonna get sentenced to like 7
14
years.
years.
He's gonna get sentenced to 7 years in max Chinese security
It's
prison.
all part of LeVar's plan.
I love China.
It's all part. It's all part of the plan.
All right, well.
He's our
What's the
president.
plan then, Ben?
Well,
The plan
All
is MVP, 13 straight seasons.
Well,
LaMelo takes over for
that's-
the last 7.
you know,
That's all we have for you. Thank you to Isaac Byrne,
Jake Wallen,
Brennan, Jake Wallen, yeah. Joey Gable behind the scenes. don't forget to follow the pod on Podcast NH. Also join us next week here on YouTube. Same time, same place, same network,
Almost
same
same.
host probably.
almost same.
We are signing out. Good night.
Thank you to
We want to get right.
Good times roll. Let them knock you around. Let them times roll. Let them make you.